Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We're back with another in context. Today is May 2nd. Simple question for you guys. Where are we and where are we headed? For example, is the blockade working? Is the control of the Strait of Hormuz an issue still that the US is trying to exert and get removed from Iran? I see this volley going back and forth and negotiations are kind of stuck in the mud. I'll leave it to you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's establish the perimeters of this. On Thursday, the Minister of War was testifying in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee. By the way, I know his official name is the Secretary of Defense, but the Joker doesn't deserve better than that, the Minister of War. Anyway, and the only thing that Republicans and Democrats in the committee could agree on is what is the definition of victory in the war. So they defined victory as wresting control of the Strait of Hormuz back from Iran. First, this definition, which seems to be the consensus of the political class in the center of the evil empire, is actually an admission of strategic defeat, because Iran didn't control the Strait of Hormuz when this started. So if they consider victory to be returning to the status quo, that is an admission of strategic defeat, regardless of anything else. Now, the Minister of War was making all kinds of noises, and he was making all kinds of really cheap fights with people in the committee, but that is beside the point. Let's stick to the strategy, the big picture here. That is not in doubt. Now, the question is, can they get that? I don't think so. Because they can dislodge Iran from the Strait of Hormuz. It exists on the Strait of Hormuz. The strait is territorial waters between Iran and Oman. Iran is much stronger than Oman, so this is essentially Iran. Now, the only way they can wrest the Strait of Hormuz out of Iran is they change government. This has been tried and failed. So it's not happening. So this is done.
So then when Trump says we're like pirates and, they can control the stand, it's very profitable.
Yes. So, this what we're saying is one dangerous thing about Trump is he makes colorful statements that are disgusting and amusing in a disgusting way that could distract. So, yesterday he was blathering at some meeting in Florida, and he said, we are taking over Iranian ships. This is a lot of money. This is good business like piracy. It is not like, it is actually piracy. It's interesting for the evil emperor to admit what he is. It's unusual. And the fact that he is not getting much push from the political class is actually an indication of imperial hubris. Because it's one thing to be ugly and horrible, it's another thing to find no problem in admitting it. That gets people to push back against you. Anyway, but that's a sideshow. Let's get back to the business, the real business, really. The real business is he is not ending the war where he started. His top goal is to end the war where he started. That's not a good position. And he doesn't have a tool to get there. So his blockade, or what it does is to his mind and to the mind of those who make policy for him, is it's a counter card. So Iran holds the card of closing the strait, so we hold the card of closing the strait further. So blockading the blockade. And the idea is if Iran holds the world economy hostage, we hold the Iranian economy back hostage. It doesn't work. First, because Iran has spent the last 47 years under siege, so that's nothing news to them. Actually, some officials saying the Washington Post, we have PhDs in evading blockades. Well, it makes sense. A PhD is about 4 years worth of work. This is about 11 PhDs. Anyway, but joking aside, to the Iranian nation state and even to the normal human beings, the US is after their blood. That's obvious, or at least that's the assessment. And the people believe that, and I think it's rational.
You would
The
say
US
only after their blood, or would you say the
after their blood, they want to kill them and
No.
burn their land. They're saying
About-
that, and their actions, which is more important than the words, are saying that.
But many others would think also they're after their resources.
That is, leftist nonsense. It belongs to the 60s. The imperial, whatever, oil nonsense. Come on. The whole economic system is built to serve the Western imperial interests. We are beyond that. Whatever happens, they end up winning. The structure is built to serve the economic interest of the West. So whether the current regime in Iran continues to exist, whether it disappears, whether the Zionist Shah kid comes to take over, it wouldn't matter. In the end, the whole economic cycle is rigged for Europe and US interest. It's beside the point. We are beyond that. The leftist tanky arguments are on repeat since the 1950s and 60s. They don't think.
Plus, the method by which they, if they were even coming to get the resources and only the resources, is by death and destruction. It's not going to come in. We're not going to kill you. Just give us this. No, they kill you and then they take it. Either way, it's the same.
Yes, it is true. But I mean, we are beyond that. I mean, even before they went and tried to burn down Iran, they were actually making good money out of Iran. So it's not about money. We are beyond that. The West now is interested in more than money. It's interested in the lower races submitting to them. It's interested in degrading the lower races. Just listen to their political speech. We are beyond that. Anyway, so let's get back to our focus here. So the regime sees this as a fight for life. The nationalists and also believe in the nation state see it as a fight for the nation state. The normal human being, Muslim or even non-Muslim, sees that as a threat to their existence as human beings. So to them, it's a very different deal than it is to the US, which sees this as how much is the price of oil at the pump. It is also different from Europe's perspective, which is our economy and oil is being affected by some stupid fool waging a war that was unnecessary. So Iran in a position where it is willing to withstand that for the long term. The US isn't. So this business of blockade, well, it's a card. Okay, he got a card, no debate, to barter with, but it's not very significant. Meaning it cannot get him something he couldn't get otherwise. It might get him a better arrangements or better details, but not major or strategic changes. And wresting back the control of the state of Hormuz isn't happening. Meaning the reason Iran went out of its current mode or usual mode of the client state that gets hit and responds in symbolic ways because it doesn't want to antagonize the master it's trying to please to begin with. The reason they went out of this mode is because they figured that it's not working. And if you keep doing that, he will come after you again and again and again. So they want this to stop. And Trump cannot give them anything that is worth having because the guy broke his word, at least 3 times. So Trump in particular, if any American politician may be able to do something, Trump is not that one. Mm-hmm. So the only thing they can get out of him that is worth having is Strait of Hormuz, because that's not something he controls. So what they really want out of this is, the only thing they are after really is control the Strait of Hormuz. And that's actually obvious in the way, in their tactical moves. So the latest tactical offer to the US is, let's set aside our other disagreements. Let's just open the strait. Trump presents that as Iran groveling for him. Actually, it isn't. What Iran is saying, let's settle what is important to us and leave what is important to you later. That wouldn't work, obviously, because he needs the image of victory. So even if he cannot achieve the actual victory that the Congress is describing, he wants the image of victory. And that image means he needs to be able to say, I have achieved complete annihilation of the Iranian nuclear program, which isn't a thing, because the Iranian program was actually under freeze when he came to office in 2016. So he would be claiming that I went back to what I destroyed. But even he wants to make this image. And the Iranians are denying him that right now because they think they are in a good position to get what they want, the strait. Trump may think that he can get another card to barter with by going again to war for a brief period. I'm not sure that is going to happen. If it happens, it's going to be brief, because he is not in a place where he can wage another bout of significant war. His minions in the region are not in a place where that is going to work for them. The last time wasn't good for them. The only ones who would love to have that are the Israel and the Arab Zionist Team A, and maybe Saudi Arabia out of the Arab Zionist Team B. But other than that, well, those don't count really.
Okay, let me interject.
Mm-hmm.
You say Team A, even Saudi Arabia possibly, but they have more to lose than US's price of gas. Right now, the price of diesel is almost $6.50. It's killing the industry. I'm in that
Yes.
industry, and it's and we didn't even get to the peak yet. But
Mm-hmm.
my point is, Saudi Arabia, UAE, the Arab Emirates, etc. If this war accelerates, well, Iran then would say, okay, we've been holding back. I guess we're not going to hold back no more. They've made that threat. For them to now bomb certain areas they've avoided, that would be catastrophic for the areas. Why would you say that they are secretly trying to push for this? In
So
other
I'm
words,
not.
they want a
This is
short-term.
this is not analysis.
Hmm.
Rationally, analytically, this shouldn't be happening. Okay. Meaning, rationally, analytically, if you are in the middle between two warring parties, you wouldn't want them to continue fighting, especially if you're not the part of the fight. But those guys are completely lunatic. They are rabid in their hate of the Islamic Ummah. The Arab Zionist Team A are just crazy. So UAE continues to envy war. Saudi Arabia is on and off. It claims, as it has always been claiming, that it doesn't want war. But actually, when it was claiming it doesn't want war before the war, it was pushing for war. And it was pushing for war in a way that wasn't even hidden. So it was leaking. And their mouthpieces during the war kept insisting that this should continue. The government official mouthpieces in Riyadh were talking to the media saying, we want this to continue, because if it ends without Iran being defeated, then we can't continue to exist here. Iran is going to exercise hegemony over us.
And then I guess where you were coming from is more of like, not even their hate, despite all the hate they have, for their survival, like the plants and the other things, like they're putting their own selves in danger.
Yes.
Like even if they have all the hate in the
It's
world.
crazy. It's completely crazy. You cannot. This is not rational. This is not analysis. Analytically, this shouldn't be happening. This is, analysis assumes rational behavior according to the rationality of the actor. Now, the rationality of the actor may not be rational, and that's what we're dealing with. These guys have a serious axe to grind with the ummah. The population they control. I don't mean the ummah meaning people over the border, because to them these are the enemies. I mean the populations they control. They're completely crazy.
Plus, economically speaking, it must make them crazy and the US crazy that other countries, for that brief time where they were semi-open in the Strait of Hormuz and they were paying I think $1 million or $2 million for every ship that which passes through. Nobody argued. Like, okay, we'll pay it. Now maybe they'll negotiate the rate, but the point is that they conceded. The world said, okay, we'll pay it. India will pay it. China will pay it. And now, long term, post year, 2 years, 10 years, that would make
They
UAE crazy.
well, they not just the Gulf countries wouldn't want
Yeah,
that because that's a
yeah.
tax on them. That's understandable. But the business of, well, we can't live with Iranian hegemony, they did live with Iranian hegemony for 30 years. From from the end of World War II, let's say, 47, 46, 47, after the Shah came back in full control, until the Shah fell in 78, 79, they were under Iranian hegemony. So it's not as if they don't know what is that, or they haven't found ways to coexist with it. They know, and they have found ways to coexist with it. So I'm not saying that based on us. I'm saying that based on facts. It has been well established that Israel was defending the UAE during the war. It is obvious from UAE's posture after the war that they want this war to continue and that they are completely aligning themselves with Israel. Israel is now building a new regional alliance, and it's obvious that the members are the UAE, Greece, Cyprus, and Ethiopia, possibly Serbia, actually, probably Serbia. India is not necessarily there, although they make noises, but I'm not sure about that.
All the countries that despise Muslims.
Yeah. The reason I'm saying India is not probably there is because their defeat in Iran makes it unlikely. Also, the US wouldn't want that. To come back to our discussion, I think this is going to settle. It might take a month, might take 2 months, but it would end up with the US getting the veneer, not the truth of victory, with a deal that looks like Iran surrendering nuclear ambitions, but actually more like kicking the ball forward, similar to what they had in 2015, and Iran getting control over the Strait of Hormuz, approved and accepted by the United Nations. There may be some sort of international body to regulate tolls and the like. But Iran sponsorship and control of the strait means it has a veto over who passes in. By the way, there's a lot of foolish noise going on about we're going to pump the oil over pipelines into Turkey, into Syria, into Jordan. Netanyahu saying into Israel, which is complete nonsense, or into the Red Sea ports of Saudi Arabia, or into the Gulf of Oman and the Gulf of Oman ports of UAE and Oman itself. That's complete rubbish. The same drones that hit the tankers can and did hit the pipelines. Pipelines are much longer, much harder to protect than oil tankers. So this is nonsense. Unless they can move the oil fields and the Arab side of the Gulf completely outside the area, say relocated to Latin America, this is complete nonsense. This is just, oil executives trying to drum up business. And those guys since the 50s have had delusions of grandeur, and they always think that the world, not economy, the world politics and all of the world revolves around. It isn't the case. They may have these pipelines, but it won't change the strategic picture a lot. And actually, what people are not getting is this is beyond oil. If Iran gets control over the strait, it means that all of the Arab Gulf is hostage. Because forget about oil, people need to eat. And that means shipping. You're not going to ship cattle by airplanes on a regular basis, and cars and washing machines and stuff. But what that means these countries now, the US declares its protectorates. Well, fine. These are protectorates, protect them. Now the coward rulers of these countries continue to accept being protectorates. Well, actually, strategically, you are inviting this, because if Iran wants to appear to be bucking the US, and as a result forcing the US into some sort of a deal, then the fact that you are a protectorate means you are an inviting target. So treason here adds insult to injury. It doesn't add protection, even on a Machiavellian material level. It's bad policy.
Let's shift gears. I want to just ask you
Mhm.
about Lebanon. Of course, we're in a situation where we got a Gaza ceasefire. You cease fires at will.
Yes, it's a Gaza-style ceasefire, and that's official by U.S. government declaration. Israel gets to shoot. The Lebanese government gets to apologize for Israel shooting because they were remiss in preventing Israel from having a target to shoot at, because they are responsible for preventing anybody from antagonizing Israel. So Israel shot. This is your problem. Anyway, so that's the peace that Nawaf Islam got Lebanon, Gaza-style peace. But aside from that, if you back off from this and look at the big picture, to the US, Lebanon is just an extension of its negotiations with Iran. The US is not overly concerned about the continued existence of Hezbollah in Lebanon and the continued influence of Iran in Lebanon. It is also not overly concerned about Israel destroying Lebanon, as long as that doesn't end up burning Beirut on TV like it did last time. Okay, because that turns to international crisis. But a slow burning destruction of houses and homes and killing of people, drip every day, like they do in Gaza, is fine. So it's not really interested in both sides. To see this, you need to recognize that this week, Trump congratulated the new prime minister of Iraq, who is part of the Iran crowd in Iraq, for his appointment to the position. The US doesn't mind continued existence of Iranian influence in Iraq. And it doesn't mind the minions of Iran continuing to serve as its guardians of the Iraq protectorate. It doesn't mind the existence of Iranian influence, I'm saying, in Iraq or in Lebanon. Their problem was and continues to be that Iran wasn't paying full respects to the imperial order, just like they had in Venezuela. It's not that these states were really a threat, it's that they were not paying enough difference to the imperial center. They were not singing the praises of the orange gorilla. It worked in Venezuela, and they found somebody who can not interrupt the praise of the orange gorilla. It failed in Iran, but that was the goal. The problem wasn't really that Iran has influence in Iraq or influence in Iran and in Lebanon. That's fine, provided you stay within your lane. But you need to pay your respects to the orange gorilla. It didn't work, and Trump will try to get something that looks like papering over it. But the issue of existing influence here or there, this is just the US says, okay, this is the cost of doing business.
But is there any pushback happening with Israel and Lebanon at the moment?
What do you mean?
Like from Hezbollah or any?
Yeah, Hezbollah is actually responding more seriously than usual to the Israeli attacks, and that actually is part of the negotiations. So the US keeps, opening the door to Lebanon to Israel to attack Lebanon, and Iran gives full blanche to carte blanche to the Hezbollah to attack Israel with whatever resource it has, because both sides want to have a better negotiating position. This is negotiations by other means. And that eventually ends with the US and Iran settling the war in the Gulf, and then it settles in Lebanon with Hezbollah in a better position, obviously. Israel probably retaining some sort of control over the area it occupies right now, but not achieving its delusional goals of occupying the area south of the Litani, or actually in some of their delusions, it was the area south of Awali, which is much farther into Lebanon.
So some of the border towns are gone.
The towns directly on the border, I think, would not be regained again. So Israel destroying them is the new normal. This is also coming to a neighborhood near you in Jordan and Egypt. This is the new Israeli policy that the US is not actually minding a lot. So even the Arab Zionist team A in Jordan are going to get their reward. And to the English king of Jordan, it's okay. Israel protects him from the population he claims to rule. So it's okay. The Egyptian junta may not like the fact that someone would share in the theft they are stealing. And they are actually currently maybe having second thoughts about their strong alliance with Israel for the last 13 years. But they are in this. They're not getting anywhere else. They are just Arab Zionist team A. They'd like to maintain the relationship with the US. They wouldn't want Israel to step on them because that would make them look bad internally. But I don't think they can look any worse internally. But Israel is coming to others. This is the new policy. They already established it in Gaza. They already established it in Syria. They are establishing it in Lebanon. They are establishing the whole West Bank. It's supposed to be the new zone, all of the West Bank. The US doesn't really mind. People who keep thinking that, well, the US is trying to do a peace process and the two-state solution are delusional. The two-state solution, at least since the end of Clinton administration, is just a panacea to put the people to sleep. But the actual project is let Israel quietly and slowly absorb what it has, because those guys are never going to leave anything out. So why bother? It's not theirs anyway. The US is not theirs anyway, so it's okay. If the rabid dog eats a bit more, it's okay. Just make sure that he doesn't get into a big fight and make a mess for us. That's about it.
I see it. All right, I think we got it.